Frank's Red Hot is the perfect blend of flavor and heat, so you can use an entire bottle to make recipes like buffalo chicken dip or buffalo nachos, or even things that don't start with buffalo. Frank's Red Hot, I put that on everything.
Spooky Craig.
Pac-12 in the morning, Pac-12 in the evening, Pac-12 at supper time. With 9 a.m. kickoffs on the schedule, you can watch Pac-12 anytime on Saturday.
Yes, almost.
But I'm glad you did that, Jeff. So welcome to Podcast versus Deadly Ones. I'm your host, Deviled Craig Powers, and with me, as always, is Jeff Booscare.
Dude, did you just do that all off the top of your head? I swear we didn't plan that.
No, I practiced that earlier. I definitely practiced that earlier. I did
awesome.
it.
I didn't even know. Like, I was like...
I didn't tell you I was going to do it, but
you did.
That's why it was funny when you
yeah.
did the start. Like, I was like, all right.
That's fantastic.
And that's the Halloween portion of the episode.
Yes. Yes. Oh,
or maybe I'll just do the entire podcast in this voice.
It wouldn't be a very good podcast because I'd just be laughing the whole time.
And then people be like, nope. No, thank you.
How many minutes would they make it in there before?
I don't know. They might have like had their ears blasted just now by that and just went, no way, done with this.
At some point do they go, okay, they can't keep this up. And then like at some point they go, wait a minute, are they going to do this the whole time? And then I'm just wondering where the cutoff is, where they finally realize like we're not going to give it up, and it's gonna be the whole episode. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It's so funny that you mentioned the 9 a.m. thing though. Like that surfaced last week again because Pat Chun said we don't want 9 a.m. kickoffs, and then I put it out there that like, well, why not? Almost all of the things that I care about for 9 a.m. kickoffs aren't relevant this year because, like, for me, it was all about, like, okay, fans showing up to Pullman at 9 a.m. is, like, that's just like a non-starter, right?
Yeah,
like, for
exactly.
so many reasons. For so many reasons, that's a non-starter. Totally get it. Totally get that. Okay, there's no freaking fans, right? And, like, the players are like, well, hell, we're getting up at 5 a.m. right now anyway to go take our COVID tests, so...
whatever. 5 a.m. for weightlifting.
Yeah, like, they're getting up at the butt crack of dawn already. So, I'm just like, who cares? And, it's an opportunity to get exposure. And I know people, I hear this all the time. People are like, play at 9 a.m. so that people on the East Coast are not going to watch us anyway. And I'm like, there's a little more to it than that, though. And John Wilner, God bless him, sometimes makes good points. And, I think one of the good points he does make is, there is some value to having those highlights played over and over and over in halftime of every damn game, all damn day. I really think that matters. It really, really does. And that's how you get in the consciousness of people and whatever. So I get it. Like, to me, the 9 a.m. thing makes sense. I think it's short-sighted at this point to dismiss it out of hand. I think it's good for whatever. And, Nick Rolovich thinks it's bad and because he doesn't, doesn't think the players will play well or whatever. But I'm just like, I don't care. And he doesn't know that for a fact. And, NFL players go and play on the East Coast all the time at 10 a.m. on their body clocks. So what's the big difference? Oh, they're paid $1 million to do it. Well, I just don't think that I mean, if you're telling me that a 35-year-old or a 30-year-old NFL player can do it, but a 20-year-old college kid can't, like, I'm not sure I buy that, right? I'm just not sure I buy that.
Especially a 20-year-old college kid who's not allowed to drink the night before because he's stuck in a hotel.
He's staying in a hotel, right? So if you're telling me that 1 hour of difference for a 20-year-old is going to be like a deal breaker, like I don't, from a performance standpoint, I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. So, I mean, I get it if people are just like, I don't like it because it's different. Okay, fine. But I think that most of the arguments just sort of like fall by the wayside. And to be honest, I, for one, am actually kind of excited to watch. I mean, isn't it ASU USC 9 a.m. next week, right?
Yep.
Like, I'm excited to watch that at 9 a.m. Like, I'll probably watch. I mean, I'm just guessing. There's a BVB game at 6:30 in the morning on that day, and then I'll watch that, and then I'll watch the end of game day or college game day, and then I'll roll right into ASU USC, and I'm gonna love that.
No, I think it's Tottenham at 6:30, BVB at 9. So you'll have
that's right.
to flip, and then we have the Cougs at 7:30.
So I'll split screen the ASU, USC, and BVB at the same time, and then Cougs later that night. So the idea of having Pac-12 games from 9 a.m. until midnight is actually pretty appealing to me. I don't know about you, but I'm like, yeah, I'll watch Pac-12 football all day.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the bigger part for me is like since college football has started, every Saturday, Amanda goes to bed and B goes to bed. Usually during college football season, that means it's like 9 or something. Oh, there's still 2 hours of football on now. And so I just hunker down, and there's usually multiple games on, like a Mountain West game, a Pac-12 game, Hawaii, whatever. But it's been football ends at 8. And so you're like, well, what do I do now? Right. It's supposed to be Saturday night. That's for college football. It's cool. It's like getting chilly outside. This is when this happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's awesome. 9 to 11 Pac-12 football. I'm always going to watch a Pac-12 game over have more interest in it and than over a Big Ten game, which is usually what you're watching in that thing you're watching.
Or ACC or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're watching the clash of the two fourth place teams in the ACC.
Oh, so excited! Those Wake Forest Duke games are just Or
in the Big Ten you get Northwestern Illinois.
Yeah.
Or I guess that's a rivalry. I don't know, but
Northwestern
still.
Purdue. I don't know. Whatever. Indiana, Michigan State, and you're just like, who cares?
Any Michigan State game at 9, you're waking up. You're like, oh, time to go back to sleep.
Yeah. I mean, there have been more of those, like Fox, is doing their big noon Saturday thing, right? And
well, they've been getting some
more games.
They've been getting some Big 12 games because it's 11 for them.
Yeah,
and the Pac-12 has been doing 11 a.m. games. So
yeah, so they've been getting some games in there that have been interesting in that 9 a.m. time slot for us, and that's fine. But I'm like, yeah, if you've got two teams that are potentially challenging for the South in ASU and USC, I'm 100% down for that. Let's go.
Yeah, let's football.
Yeah, football. You know what else? You know what you need in football, Craig? You need a quarterback. That's a transition.
If you have two, then you don't have one.
Yeah. What do you think the odds are that we are actually going to have two? That's actually the answer here, is that there's going to be two and not one.
Well, I don't know. Obviously Rollo first said that to a group of reporters that, or maybe it was the radio show. I can't remember.
I think it was the Zoom. I think it was a post-practice Zoom.
Yeah, so the reporter Zoom first said that they hadn't decided. It could be multiple guys, blah blah blah. But then he was talking to when was he talking to Jason Puckett and was it on their radio show?
I think so.
And he said they had selected a QB, which honestly that makes me feel better.
Yeah, 100%.
I really really wish we got. But as of when we're recording this, 9 days until the season starts, I really hope that you have an idea of who's going to be starting that game, because otherwise it's going to be a rough beginning.
Just to dovetail on what you just said, I would, if they hadn't made a decision, I would assume that they were all shitty.
Yeah.
That would be I wouldn't think, oh my God, they're all so good, they're having a tough time making a choice. If they're all good, it's not hard to pick one.
Yep.
Right? You'll feel bad about somebody or whatever, but you'll be like, you know what? All right, you're all good. I'm picking this guy.
You usually just go by leadership qualities or something at that point.
Fine. But if we're I don't know, we're dragging this out a little while longer, that tells you that you are not seeing something from somebody that you need to see, and that is extremely disconcerting. So the fact they pick somebody, like you said, I'm on board with what you said, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. Who do you think it's going to be?
Well, okay. So I'm fairly certain it's not Gunnar Cruz. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
So Rolovich came out. So today we are recording Thursday night. Today or yesterday, actually, I guess it would be Wednesday. Wednesday after practice, he clarified his comments. I'm like my days are all bleeding into each other right now. But he said like that. He sort of expanded on what he said about the person being picked, and kind of what he said was like, look, it's like maybe about one guy's getting more than the other and than the other two. And I made my decision basically not on the second scrimmage, but on the first scrimmage and then also practices, basically is what he said. So if we take that, we say, okay, so we don't really know anything about practices, but we do know the first scrimmage, and Gunnar Cruz was not good in that first scrimmage. Delora and Cameron Cooper were both good. Okay, great. So that leaves us with those two. I would have a hard time thinking that you're going to go with a true freshman. Like I just that. I just have a hard time buying into that all the way. Now, would not shock me at all. And this is what I said, was kind of, intimating before. It would not shock me if they were doing two. If they had some package things for Delora, who's a bit more of a runner, if they just had some things put in there to bring him in and let him do some things, that would not surprise me in the slightest. But I would think that if you were asking me to like make a bet, like I would say, like what are the odds? Like if I'm choosing between those two as the person who takes the first snap, I'm going to say like 60-40, like 60-40 Cooper to Delora.
Yeah, so you're thinking like some Taysom Hill type
it
packages.
Wouldn't shock me. Yeah, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, he's, like I said, he's athletic. He's a runner. I don't know how much weight he's added since last year.
Yeah, he's pretty skinny dude when he was being recruited.
Yeah, so it wouldn't shock me if he's a little bigger and if they just put in some running packages. Because I think Cooper is a capable runner, at least in terms of his feet being okay. But he's not like a I don't think he's like a runner, right? But Delora, definitely
more of like a Minshew scrambler, maybe he could be, but not like a straight up we're running an option play with this guy.
But I could see Delora doing that.
Yeah,
I could see Delora doing that. So yeah, I don't know. I would I would not be shocked if the leash was a little short. I would not be shocked if they came in with a plan to say, hey, don't be shocked when I put him in for a series. I mean, that's the other piece of context that's important is that Rolovich has done that before. Like he has rolled with two quarterbacks before at times, and not necessarily on a. It's not the Mike Price, Gary Rogers schedule, right? Where it's like, okay, the one series right here, right before halftime.
Matt Kegel.
Or like it's not that sort of a thing. So that's good. And
also, can we just pause there let me go on a tangent. I always think how nuts the WSU had a Rose Bowl national championship contending potential squad that year, and they took their star quarterback out in 2002 for a series every game. Yep. Like they're just like, well, we're going to need someone to start next year, so
it was.
This is one of the best teams we've ever had in our entire history, but we're gonna take our star quarterback out. Yeah. Take Justin Gesser out for a series. Like that's nuts, man. Yeah, like that's just totally nuts. And it worked out. It was fine. Yeah. But jeez, it was nuts.
It was nuts. And
sorry.
So, no, it's like it is. But I mean, it does show like how like unusual it is to like just take your starter out and put somebody else in, and it doesn't happen, and I have to assume that it doesn't happen for a reason. Like it's like I typically will say, look, if something is happening or not happening, there's probably a simple explanation, like it's probably not good, right? So but Rolovich has had some success with rotating guys in and out at times, and kind of playing, it seemed like, from what I know, playing it a little bit by ear more than by game plan, and just kind of going from there. So I would bet we see both of them. I would bet we see both of them in the first game.
Yeah. Cool.
What about you?
That's right.
Is that what you think?
Yeah. I think it'll be Cameron will be the starter, and you've convinced me. Yes, I want to see some Jaden. Taysom Hill subs but yeah, it sounds great. But yeah, I think I've just had this feeling that it was going to be Cam, and he's the oldest guy, he's the most experienced guy, who's the most highly rated guy coming out of high school. It just seems like you're just hoping that he is also the best one.
Yeah.
And but who knows? But it feels like that's potentially who it is.
I mean, turnovers are going to be the deal with him. I think we know that already. We haven't seen him play in a real game, right? Like, I mean, he's taken exactly 0 real snaps in his career, but he has played in a spring game, and he completely melted down in that game. Leach, and I know that Mike Leach thought highly of him. I do know that. I've talked to enough people. Like, Leach really thought highly of his skills and his abilities and what he was going to eventually be. And you saw in that spring game, they just kind of kept trotting him out there, right? He was playing both sides. He was playing both ways at that point in the game.
For 2 quarters, basically.
Yeah,
it was just a cabin show.
Once they got done with Anthony Gordon and Trey Tinsley, it was like, all right, well, here it's Cooper time, and he was playing both sides, and the downside of that is if things start spiraling, like, you're not standing on the sidelines at all, they're just throwing you back out there again. And eventually he just just completely melted down, like total meltdown, to the point where Leach finally had to really pull him, So there's that, and then we had the second scrimmage here where he threw 2 interceptions, and he threw an interception in the first scrimmage. So that's, and I don't remember how many interceptions he threw in that spring game, but it was at least 2, right? Was it 2 or 3? It was something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I was several beers deep by the end.
Yeah, so was I. But but we're basically talking, like script.
And then we recorded a podcast.
Yes, we did. In simulated game action, I mean, in his last however many quarters of simulated game action, he's thrown a shit ton of interceptions. So,
and of course, he's had many, many, many practices since then. So hopefully,
absolutely,
yeah.
but it's it popped up again in that second scrimmage. He threw 2 interceptions. We did find out, as I sort of suspected, because the offense was horrible in that second scrimmage, right?
Yeah.
And we were on Slack, and I was like, I kind of put in there, like, it would not surprise me to find out if the coaching staff sort of sabotaged the offense. Coaches have been known to do that kind of thing, and it's not hard to do. Like, you just sort of like put them in bad situations and make sure that the defense is lined up right, and
you call for the defense and the offense. You call the perfect defense to defend that that play call. So.
And you see what they do, right? You're trying to find out what they're going to do with the perfect defense against their offense. I mean, you basically put them in a shitty situation on purpose, and then just kind of see what happens. And so Rolovich basically admitted as much when he was talking about that second scrimmage. So, I mean, I don't know how much I read into him throwing 2 interceptions, but at the same time, that's, 2 more interceptions. So maybe that's going to be the issue. Maybe that's the thing that, maybe there's a short leash. It's, you can't be loose with the ball. So,
yeah,
because that'll be a killer.
I would be impressed if a true freshman took care of the ball, but
yes. But he's already the difference is with him, like you've got with Delora, with the added dimension of his legs, like that can a lot of times save you from an interception.
Right.
Right. We saw that with Minshew a ton, where he'd kind of climb the pocket, and then he'd be like, you know what, there's nothing there, and I'm just going to scramble for a few yards or a short loss or a first down or whatever. But then we saw the opposite of that right before him with Luke Falk, right, where it's like, okay, he can't run anywhere. So when everything's gummed up, it's either I'm going to get pummeled for a sack or I'm going to throw it into a tight window
and see what happens.
Right? And so you don't want to get into that kind of a situation. And so I do wonder if Delora, it's kind of the same kind of deal where, okay, you got a young guy who maybe he's just more likely to, I don't see what I want. Okay, fine, I'm just going to run. So I don't know. There's some value in that too.
Yeah. We will see. Quarterback.
Yes, we will. We have a whole nother week to talk about this.
We do. Just love talking about that quarterback situation.
Quarterbacks. Let's talk about the opposite of a quarterback. Defensive lineman.
Defensive lineman. The opposite of a quarterback.
We have one fewer defensive lineman now.
Opposite of wide receiver is a cornerback. an opposite, if an opposite of a quarterback is a defensive lineman, then what is the opposite of an offensive lineman?
Well, I guess that is, but I'm more thinking like just style, size.
Okay.
Yeah, just sort of like that whole thing. Like that's like the maybe I should have said antithesis. The antithesis of a quarterback is a defensive lineman, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It just it depends.
Because I mean, like, how many quarterbacks have you known that are like could be defensive linemen? Like maybe Jared Lorenzen, right? Like the hefty lefty.
Yes,
like, that's about it.
That's pretty much the list.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, at WSU, I don't know. Like
we had
probably
Sean Deeds.
Yeah, we probably could have had.
Deeds was a pretty big fella.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of quarterbacks that probably could have played defensive line at WSU. I think like Cam probably could play defensive line at a lot of colleges. He was about 250. Ryan Leaf probably could currently play defensive line for WSU.
That's probably true. Leaf was a big boy, like when he was playing. Like he was, 230.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No, I mean, okay. I mean, he could play for our current very small defensive line.
At this point, he definitely could.
I think that
40 whatever.
I mean, 230. We've rolled with a lot of 230-pound ends.
Oh my God.
In WSU's history. So.
Yes, we have.
I mean, what was Isaac Brown like? What was that dude like? 215.
Oh, he was super light. He was maybe like 210. He was very light. Yeah. Those guys, him and Didi. Yeah, they were very light. Speed, man. They were speed D before it was speed
rushers.
D. Yeah. They would terrorize people, man. They were fun.
But yeah, let's talk about the defensive line and someone WSU will not have this year and potentially ever again.
Yeah.
Is Lamonte McDougle. He first came out with kind of an Instagram post that said he wasn't going to be playing this year. That he'd be back in 2021, and then more reporting by Spokesman Review and Theo Lawson came out where actually Lamonte McDougle had contracted COVID, and so he had COVID, and his dad had recently had heart surgery. So just given his family situation, his personal situation, he decided to, and I don't blame him, take the season off, not be exposed to those large groups, I assume, anymore, and maybe he feels that is what, part of that is why he contracted it, taking the season off, and who knows, maybe it had a little bit of after effect and couldn't perform the way he wants, and we don't know any of that, but yeah, maybe he did. I haven't read the whole article, but yeah, it's a bummer for him. He was one of the guys that was, definitely saying he wanted to play earlier in the year.
Yeah.
So it's a bummer that he won't get to play this year, and really a bummer that he caught COVID too.
Yeah, he obviously had personal interactions with like the really bad effects of COVID between his two parents.
Mm-hmm.
His mom ends up in the ICU with COVID complications.
Yep.
That'll scare the shit out of anybody, right? And so he contracts it. At that point, he would have had to sit out for a couple weeks, which would have put him, even sort of farther behind in his, prep for the season. Like, so when you put all those things together, it does make a lot of sense that he would decide that was just not, that he just didn't want to do that. That he was gonna actually never mind. I just hope he's okay.
Yeah.
I hope he's not in a situation where he's had some some after effects or whatever from COVID. I mean, COVID's not. I mean, it's. I know that it's in the sports world. It's sort of treated as a like no big deal. Like somebody tests positive for COVID, and it's like, oh, whatever. You'll quarantine for 14 days, and then it'll be back.
Yeah, we saw with the Sounders, like Raul Ruiz tests positive for COVID, and then he comes back and scores a goal and then gets an assist in his first game, and you're like, oh, they're superheroes.
90 minutes
it doesn't
and
matter,
whatever, right?
Yeah.
So definitely, but not not everybody, right? Like that doesn't happen for everybody, and that's not normal for everybody, and. Some people do have symptoms and, do have difficulty, and even young people, It does, I know this is like not a popular opinion, but it's a fact that it does kill young people. Not many, but it happens, and so I just hope he's okay. I hope he's healthy. I hope this is not a situation where, I'm hoping it's out of an abundance of caution that he is not playing, and not because, he's actually suffering, some effects. So I'm bummed that he's not playing, but, I'm mostly concerned that he's healthy and okay, and, everything else is just not, honestly, just not that important.
Yeah, definitely. He's a player that really seemed like he was coming around, but he'll have to. It just. I'm bummed out for him on like an emotional and a mental level. Yeah. I'm sure it's a bummer. It probably was a very difficult decision to take the year off, and so it must be very serious for him, given how vocal he was about wanting to play, even when some of his teammates were were maybe not necessarily wanting to play. So I hope the best for him. Whether
he's now sitting out. I mean, this can be his second year sitting out in 4 years.
Yep. And luckily he won't be losing a year of eligibility this year. So hopefully he can come back strong and healthy and play for the Cougs, play for anyone next year.
Yeah, and we're not sure.
Yeah, he entered. Say he's going to enter the transfer portal. So
I'm guessing. So if I were just like 100%, this is absolutely speculation, no inside knowledge whatsoever. I would guess that is a cover your bases, find out what's out there kind of deal.
Yeah.
And that perhaps
maybe Alabama wants.
Well, that's kind of the thing, right? Like, sometimes people will say they want to be closer to home. I would not be shocked if he legitimately wanted to be closer to home.
Yeah.
Right? Like that would not surprise. By the way, I would guess right now he's at home, would be my guess, that he's doing his, like everybody else, doing his classes in distance learning. And, since he's not playing football, there's probably no reason why he's in Pullman. So, my guess is he's probably in Florida right now. So if he's doing, if he's going to the transfer portal, he's probably kind of seeing, all right, what kind of options do I have? And maybe he would, all things being equal. My mom was in the hospital with COVID and my dad just had heart surgery. Maybe I'd really like to be closer to Florida. And I can't fault a guy for that. So if that's what it is, then, more power to him. I hope he gets an opportunity that he likes. I would love for him to stay in Pullman. I'd love for him to play at WSU. I think he's incredibly talented, but whatever, man, whatever's best for that guy. I just, we've talked about some of our parents' health problems, at times, and we both live very close to our parents. I can't really imagine having your parents maybe go through, near-death experiences so far away from you. Feeling like you can't leave, right? Like if you're a football player at Wazoo in Pullman and your dad's having heart surgery in Florida or whatever, your mom's in ICU, like just feeling like you've got to play football, right? Like you can't leave. So that's got to be a really shitty feeling and a really, really shitty, decision to have to make.
Yeah, absolutely. So all the best to Lamont, and hopefully he whatever gets whatever is best for him out of this. So.
Yeah.
All right. On the topic of COVID, we often said, it's kind of crazy. We often said like, okay, college football is coming back. Well, what if one of the big stars catches COVID? What if Trevor Lawrence catches COVID?
That was always the name, right?
That's always the name. And Trevor Lawrence has COVID, symptomatic COVID. So.
Yeah. Not even the asymptomatic kind.
Yeah. So he's actually sick.
Yeah, he's like legitimately sick. They said mild symptoms. I don't know. Do you believe that?
I don't care. Yeah, sure. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, what's mild?
I'm skeptical. Yeah, I mean, if they're telling me he's got mild symptoms, that kind of raises my my spidey senses.
Yeah, I hope he's okay.
I do too.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. just to think of a player being symptomatic, because we've heard a lot of players catch it, but we haven't heard any mentions of symptoms. Like, that just doesn't ever get mentioned.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that's just more a product of nobody wants to talk about it. But yeah, I mean, there's probably lots of them that are asymptomatic too. We just don't know who the people are who are symptomatic.
But I guess, with Trevor Lawrence, you're going to just, maybe they're just thinking, all right, we're going to get so many questions about it. We have to just say something to begin with. Yeah. And what was kind of weird and kind of gross on Twitter and whatever is the way people react to the news, which is kind of how I've come to view how people react to like concussion news and stuff. Is where they're always, okay, how many games does he miss? When's he going to be back? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, this is a disease that, that people have died of. So let's
even 20-year-old people,
like, let's just wait and make sure he's okay before we worry about when he's going to play for Clemson again, which he's already being forced to continue to play college football, even though he could have been the number one pick in the NFL draft like 2 years in a row, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's, I hope it is mild symptoms, and I hope he's fine, and I hope he gets back in a few weeks or whatever. But just, I don't know, like, it just shows that how people view these players when that's their first thought is, well, how many games is he going to miss?
Yeah, because, I mean, there's, like, Clemson's got a huge one next week. It's Notre Dame. So,
right.
Okay, great. I mean, I'm looking at SportsCenter right now, and it says, QB's availability for Notre Dame in question. Must isolate 10 days. And it's like, well, I don't know. Like, I have a harder time with this just to begin with, because I'm like, we're not, I feel like in general, we're obviously not taking this seriously enough. And then, just thinking of these players as, oh, well, they'll be fine. Like, they got COVID. Whatever. They'll be fine. Like, that, it doesn't affect people that are 20 years old. And like, he's having symptoms. And I mean, there's a Twitter account that I follow called Faces of COVID. And, I don't know how many people follow. I mean, a lot of people follow it, but I don't know how many of our listeners follow it. But it's just like, it's basically like stories of people who have died from COVID. And it's just sort of, it's basically just an account dedicated to saying, like, look, this is affecting real people. Like, real people with real lives have lost their lives. And these are people that mattered to someone, right? Now, obviously, a lot of the people that they tweet about with stories are older people, because we know that's the people it affects the most. But today, what they did was they said, look, we're going to start tweeting. Like, today, we're going to create a thread where we're going to tweet out about people who have lost their lives who are young. And, I mean, it was just, like, killing me. Like, it was 10 years old, 12 years old, 18 years old, 19 years old, 17 years old, 18 years old. Like, and it was just like, oh, my God, like, over and over again. And our presumption that the athletes, they'll be fine. Now, look, are they going to get great care? Of course they are. Right. And that seems to be like kind of the biggest thing, right? Is that early detection and really good care seems to make a difference. Like, you have a president who has all sorts of what they would call comorbidities, right? Who tests positive and gets, $300,000 worth of, the best care that money can buy. And he's fine, right? Or at least as far as we know, he's okay. So, I would think, Trevor Lawrence is going to get, the same kind of treatment, from Clemson and everything else. But it's still, really dangerous. And he's symptomatic, which means, the disease is affecting him more than it's affected a lot of people and already. So, I just hope he's okay. I could care less if he plays against Notre Dame. And I just hope he's all right.
Yeah. Go Trevor Lawrence, beat COVID.
Yeah, be healthy, man. Like, it would be, like, seriously, how horrible would it be if, he was one of the guys, pushing for, all of this to play and everything else, because he was sort of on that train, and then it turned out that, COVID, irreparably damaged his athletic career. That would be horrible, I wouldn't want that. Nobody wants that.
Yeah, right. I hope it doesn't do that, and obviously because he's got quite a bright future.
By the way, I'm looking at Twitter right now, and Heath Chapman at HD Chappie responded to my like, hey, this is kind of icky about Lawrence. Maybe we should worry about his actual health. Said, he'll be fine. Lighten up, Francis. So,
yeah, I know.
Go,
That's.
man.
I mean, if you look at any, if you look at any reference to COVID, it's like big strong men talking about how they're big and strong, and they're not afraid. They're not afraid of COVID. They're big and
We're
strong.
not afraid
Stop
of a
being
tiny
afraid.
little virus.
It's fine. So whatever. Yeah, fuck that.
I mean, I hope he'll be fine. I think
yeah.
he'll probably be fine. But like, let's consider for a moment the possibility that he's not fine.
I'm sorry.
Maybe we could just think about it for a minute, like just a minute.
I'm sorry if your masculinity is so fragile that you have to go on Twitter and talk about how you're big and strong and not afraid of COVID. So whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's about time to take a break, so people
All right.
can think about that. And
Happy thoughts.
So yeah, we'll come back. We'll talk some. We have a basketball schedule mostly, pretty much. We have a strong outline of a basketball schedule.
Yeah.
We'll talk about some beer. I got a fun one. We'll talk about cardboard cutouts.
Woo!
Everyone's favorite thing. The most 2020 thing in sports, maybe.
Might be.
Besides like famous people catching COVID, but yeah. So we'll be back in like however 30 seconds. Sorry if this commercial is super loud.
We're back.
Jeff Boosker, what beer are you drinking?
All right, I think I mentioned this last week. I got the varietal. It is the Mirror Shades Double IPA.
Ah, yes.
So,
yeah.
Yes, it
That's
is.
Yep.
Yeah, it is superior. Now, here's one thing I discovered, is that it's actually kind of old.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I only bought it 3 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, I bought that.
But this was canned at the beginning of August.
Yeah, I bought that from Varietal in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's long gone out of my fridge.
Yeah, so here's what I want to know from you. So I know that like in theory, right, double IPAs should sort of hold up better with a little bit of time than say maybe your standard hazy IPA. So you tell me, like, how much has the flavor of this changed sitting in a fridge for 3 months?
Well, mostly what'll be impacted is like the dry hopping. So like the aromatics will die a little bit. You might get some kind of like old hop taste. Like there's just kind of, I don't know really how to describe it. There's just like a taste when hops are getting old.
Okay.
I used to be very sure. I'm like, oh my God, I can't drink IPAs after like 3 weeks. Like it's just, you can't do it. But as I've let IPAs linger longer in my fridge before I end up drinking them, especially as I'm, like trying to like cut back on calories and stuff. And I've learned that, a 2-month-old IPA generally tastes just fine. And then I've found that because of the kind of, I don't know, it must be like the body of hazy IPAs. I typically find that they hold up to age a little better than your like classic clean West Coast IPA would. But it's funny, I do think about like my favorite beers, like when I lived in Vermont, were IPAs, and there was some special ones that I would get, like the one I talked about last week, the Lawson's Finest Liquids ones. And I would just let them sit in the fridge because I would save them for special occasions,
Okay, I've got a story about that in a minute, so go ahead.
But yeah, so I would always do that. And now I'm like, that was fucking stupid, dude. Like, you got this, like, primo double IPA. You should have drank that the day you got, or, like, within a week. Especially, like, a West Coast style IPA, like the clean one. But I still think, like, I think I'm probably a little more lenient than some people on the freshness of an IPA. Also, because I've tracked down some, like, East Coast IPAs. through different services, or people have gotten them for me, and they've been older than, I'd want, but then I drink them and I'm like, oh, these are still really good. So maybe that, like, I do tend to think like the super hopped like double IPAs need a little time to cool off. Like you get those like fresh the day of, they are too hoppy and it burns and it's not great. Yeah. But if you give them a couple weeks, they're a little better, like that 3-week sweet spot. Now 3 months, I don't know, or almost 4. That's probably pushing it, but I'm glad you still like it. That's good.
No, it's really good. Very tasty. And I'm glad I'm drinking it. So to the story, so you brought me Heady Topper from Vermont a couple times, and the last time you brought it for me, so this was much earlier on in my beer journey, and when I was maybe a little less knowledgeable about
right.
beers and various styles and how long they would keep, and so you brought me a 4-pack of Heady Topper, and and I drank the first 3 like, I don't know, over the course of a month or so, like just, occasionally like, yeah, I'm going to have one here and I'm going to have one there. And okay, fine. Then I get to the last one. And sometimes you're just sort of like, oh man, they're just so good. And I just, I'm going to save this last one for a special occasion. Right. And so it sat in my fridge. I mean, months and months and months, like maybe like 9 months, 10 months. I mean, it was in there for a long time. Now, I know now it was in there for a long time. Right. And then I had it, and I told you I was having. You're like, wait, you haven't drank that yet? And I'm like, no. And you're like, what does it taste like? I'm like, I don't know. It tastes good. I'll let you know. Well, then, and then I had it, and I was like, oh yeah, that actually tastes really different.
Very
but it wasn't
different, especially
bad.
Heady Topper. Yeah,
it wasn't bad. It was just really, mellow.
Yeah, the malt structure of the beer is so good. You're just not getting the ultra dry hopping that they do and all that stuff.
Yeah, but it was, good. It was good. And it actually was really, it was a cool, like, unplanned experiment where I was like, oh, okay, now I see. Because I'd had enough of them that I kind of knew what it was supposed to taste like. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh. Because that's sometimes like with this. Like, so with this varietal, like I didn't have it in August, so I don't know what it tasted like in August, right? Like all I know is what it tastes like today. It's still good.
Tastes good.
Tastes good, so that's cool. But with the Heady Topper, it was like, oh yeah, like this. Wow, yeah, this does taste really different. So anyway, it was cool. And
I definitely saved when I moved back from Vermont. I definitely saved a Heady for a while just to see. I thought it'd be funny, and yeah, it was still a good beer. Definitely doesn't have like the potency. It's funny, like I think I gave you 4 packs of Heady back when like Heady was one of the most like traded and sought after beers. Like, like I know friends that would like, they're like, oh, my first beer trade was for Heady, and they were like sending like barrel aged stouts and stuff to the East Coast so they could get like 4 cans of IPA or whatever, which I think is nuts. I have a rule: I would never ever trade a barrel aged stout or barley wine or whatever for an IPA. But if you really, really, really wanted to try Heady Topper because it was so talked about, it's pretty good. Or you could just have a friend that lives there and gives you one when he comes into town. But which is how it worked out for you and like for my mom and a lot of people. Like here's some Heady Topper. It's not that hard for me to get.
Yep. Yeah, and
I remember I would visit my friend in Boston, and like who used to live in Vermont, and I would have to like go buy I'd have to cobble together as much Heady as I could, and I would like roll into town with like a case or 2 of Heady Topper, and like I'd be like the king. Like all his friends, we'd be at the party, and they'd be like, "It's the Heady Topper man.
Conquering
He brought all
king.
the Heady Topper."
The beer fairy.
I hope I have a Heady Topper sometime to have on the show. Maybe I have. I don't think I've had one on the show.
No, we definitely had a Heady on the show.
Yeah, so maybe sometime I'll track one down and get it. I think I know I brought you some. I think the 4-pack. I remember I brought you some when you came to Boston.
Yes, you brought me some in Boston, and then you brought some home. At one point when you came home.
I brought some cider for Sarah. I remember.
Yep.
Some Citizen cider, possibly the Dirty Mayor. I was really excited this week because that's like Amanda's favorite cider.
Oh yeah.
And so it actually popped up on Tavar
Oh,
Like the dirty cider, it's like a ginger. It's like a ginger. They put ginger in an apple cider, so it's like it's really tasty. And so it popped up on Tavar, so I got some cans for her, and so she's really excited about that. Yeah, so pretty exciting stuff. Aged IPAs, do it, you know.
yeah.
Well, I'll say some people have joked that if you age like a double or triple IPA, it becomes a barley wine eventually. So on that note,
but how long would that have to be?
I mean, it's a joke, but you know,
okay.
like because so for example,
I mean, obviously, it's not going to literally become a barley wine, but I mean, like,
yeah, no, it just becomes a big malty. It becomes the malt becomes the most forward thing, and so it's kind of like a barley wine in that way. But so, like for example, like Avery Hog Heaven used to be marketed as a barley wine, like a hoppy barley wine, an American barley wine, and then they switched it at one point to marketing it as a triple IPA, like. It was the same beer, and they just like told people it was something else because like at that time like no one was buying barley wines.
There you go. Everybody's looking for an IPA,
and so everyone's looking for IPA. So like, oh fine, it's really hoppy. It's an IPA, whatever. Like you don't know the difference, you idiot that just buys IPAs. Like just here you go, it's an IPA, dumbass. Like
yeah, I mean it's like when you go to Safeway right now, and you know it's like you look, oh, I need a beer really quick at Safeway. And it's like, okay, which of
the 40 IPAs
56 IPAs do I want? Because that's literally
Bodhi
all
is
they
the
have.
answer. Bodhi is
yeah.
what you
Well,
want.
Bodhi's always the answer, but it's like Bodhi or I don't know, Top Cutter.
Top
or something
Cutter,
if it's fresh, you know,
Silver
okay,
City
fine.
or whatever.
Yeah, but it's just like holy shit! Like all they've got is 58 IPAs, and that's it.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like
Budweiser.
I've just went there trying to get like a Pilsner or a lager, like,
Yeah.
and you're just like but like a craft one, but it's like okay, I guess I'm just
not
gonna
happening.
I'm gonna get Bodhi.
Maybe if you get something from like you know Sierra Nevada or something.
Oh yeah, like Sierra Nevada or the Kona. Like
yeah,
the,
it's got to be.
you know,
It's got to be you know one of the large distributor.
Yeah. Who can handle their
Jeez.
lagers lingering on the shelves and
Yeah.
no one will care.
Yeah. So yeah, you know. Whatever.
Well, I am drinking
yeah. What are you drinking?
a barley wine.
Hey.
And this is like hot off the presses. I was very excited about this. E9 for the first time has made a barrel-aged barley wine.
Ooh.
I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
So it is called Sekiu, Sekiu. It was brewed. It's an English style barley wine, which are often brewed with malt called Maris Otter. The beer blogger / podcaster Don't Drink Beer, Alex Kidd, has latched onto that, and he's done lots of memes with like otters and like stuff. And I'm actually drinking it out of a glass that I bought from being a patron for his podcast.
Yes.
That has otters on it. Like it's got little cartoon otters on it. So that's like my barley wine drinking glass. So this one, the Sekiu name is named after one of the adorable otters at Pint Defiance Zoo that I go to with my daughter like twice a month. So I was really excited because of that name. Also really excited. This is a English style barley wine, which typically means, so we were talking about the Hog Heaven being an American barley wine. So if something has American in front of it, if it's not like a wild ale or something, but otherwise it typically means it's more hoppy. So like an American porter, American barley wine, American IPA, whatever. It's like it's bigger hopped up stuff. And
Sure.
that was typically what would happen. It was actually started by Burt Grant, who started a brewery in Yakima, Grant's Pub, and his idea, and he's actually I think he's Scottish, but he was just like, I'm just gonna make really hoppy everything, and because he lived in Yakima, and that was part of why he moved there to make beers, because all the hops were there. And so that's where that American thing. But this is an English style barley wine, so a traditional style barley wine. These are not hopped up. These are more balanced. This is typically what I prefer. American barley wines to me just taste like big ass IPAs. big ass multi IPAs. That's why the joke is, it turns into a barley wine after a while. But so this is aged in rye whiskey and bourbon whiskey oak barrels from Heritage Distilling Company, obviously a local distillery. So it's very good. It's not as like hefty as some barley wines, like maybe the Fremont ones that maybe some of our listeners have had, like, or maybe the Goose Island ones. It's not like up there in like the 12, 13, 14%. It's more like, to borrow a term that Alex Kidd himself says all the time, is it's tighter. It's a little more balanced. It's not like overly sweet, but you do, as you drink it, it's a great sipper. I think it comes in about 10%. You get the caramel notes that you expect from an English barley wine. You get like the toasted, like kind of the toffee, and you get a little bit of the barrel, like a little bit of the oak and a little bit of the bourbon comes in. But the nice thing about it, because it's 10%, so you might expect the barrel to kind of overpower it, because they did age it for over a year. But it doesn't overpower it. Because I've had some just like 10%, which you might consider like that's like a standard barley wine, but now they've gone up to like 12, 13, 14, 15, 17% was what Anchorage does. But yeah, so I think it's like a barley wine. Like it's like caramel cola, basically. Like you're just like drinking like a nice like carbonated caramel toffee beverage, and it's very tasty. And you get to, I mean, it's obviously a little more it's a little more nuanced than that, but it's very tasty. I'm really enjoying it. It's nice enough, like, because I'm taking down the 16-ounce can all by myself. And so it's actually drinkable to the point where I can take down the 16-ounce can all by myself while we're sitting here talking for an hour. Nice. I very much like it. So I'm really excited that E9, one of my favorite breweries in Tacoma, where I live, made a barrel-aged barley wine. They have a great wild ale program, like one of the best on the West Coast. I think I've said that many times. Yeah. So it's cool they're expanding into, doing barrel-aged treatments, for other things, more spirit barrel, not wine barrel and other things like that. So yeah, it's really cool. So way to go. Also, the price wise, for a 16-ounce can, it was $6, so it was $24 for a 4-pack. Typically,
is not bad at all.
Yeah, barrel-aged barley wines will usually run like $1 an ounce or more.
Yeah.
So you're talking about like less than 50 cents an ounce, obviously, like 40 cents an ounce.
Spectacular.
So that's pretty great. So a great deal, a great barley wine. I think they just have it. I don't know if they're going to send it out. They typically send out most of their cans, and I've seen them sending them out farther and farther. I've seen like breweries, like places on the East Coast have their shit, and like that's cool. They are nice. They make these like world class beers, and I pretty much can get any one I want whenever. So I love having them around. And Todd, he's been a bartender at the original restaurant and now at the brewery for many years. And I think they might have something at the brewery where they have to wear like the E9 stuff all the time. But when he was the bartender at the restaurant, he always wore a Coug hat, so he's a big Coug. I've seen him at West End Pub watching the Cougs during football games and stuff. So yeah, so I always love going talking to him. I haven't got to do that much. I'm usually in and out, but hopefully soon. I mean, they're open now, but I'm not really one to sit and have a beer. But yeah, so go E9, go Tacoma.
They've really expanded their offerings. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Since they opened up the the other tap room with the increased brewing,
and since they can too, that's just makes it so much more cost effective to distribute your beer than versus having to bottle everything.
And just in general, their beers are really affordable. Just comparatively speaking, the price of their beers is less than pretty much anything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Around, and they're local. So at least for us, I don't know where you're listening to this podcast from, but for us in the South Puget Sound, they are local. And so, yeah, support your E9. Definitely. for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And, if you live in central Washington, I know like a lot of breweries will get like Varietal gets them in Sunnyside. Wandering Hop will sell their beer in Yakima. I know there's shops in Spokane that get their beer. I know there's shops in Idaho to get their beer. Highly recommend E9. I will always stand for E9. I love E9. Yeah. So that was a really long beer segment. Probably one of our longest ever. Sorry.
That's
everyone.
all right. People will get over it.
I was like, we're going for a real short podcast today. And then we talked about beer for 20 minutes. So okay, you can stop hammering that forward 30 seconds now.
Skip.
Yeah, we're going to talk about sports again.
Let's talk basketball. How about that?
Basketball.
Since we love basketball.
Oh, we do.
Oh, dude, they have been sending out, little Twitter videos from basketball practice.
Oh, yes. Nom, 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 nom.
It's so bad. I'm like so much more excited for that than I am for football. And I don't know if it's, part of it is just I'm a huge, hoops fan, just like you. But part of it's also just that they're going to have something, at least we think, something resembling a normal season. It'll be shorter, but it's still going to be, they're still going to play, 25 games or so. Like it's not going to be half a season basically, which is what football's playing. So, yeah. So I don't know, maybe that's part of it too, but I'm just like, yeah, let's get it. I'm watching these videos and I'm like, it sucks that CJ's not there, but man, I'm watching all this stuff. I'm like, come on. We got big guys and they're athletic, and we got Isaac Bonton's hair is spectacular.
Yeah, oh my
and I'm
God.
just like,
great.
Let's do this,
Yeah, yes. And so they're obviously doing an MTE at the end of November.
Yes. Why don't you tell people about MTEs?
I think we did this in a different podcast, but
did we?
Yeah, but multi-team event, or maybe it was just you and I talking. I don't know. Multi-team event.
Just you and
I can't remember what the teams are, but they're going to play at least that non-conference. But right after that, the conference schedule will kick into gear because, and this isn't a COVID thing. This was already decided over a year ago. WSU is going, or the Pac-12. And WSU, of course, is going to be playing a 20-game conference schedule, which is the trend a lot of conferences are going to. Because unlike in football, where playing these conference games, you can sort of eat each other up, and no one can it eliminates everyone from that that very limited 4-team playoff and from bowl eligibility and stuff. Actually, in basketball, it's very heavily focused on who you play, and often even with the new net system, focus on how you play them. So it's valuable even to just lose to a more highly rated team, and instead of trying to schedule those bigger teams in your non-conference, now they're just going to throw 2 more conference games your way. And so with WSU, we're getting on December 2nd playing Oregon State, which we already knew before this, and they're playing Colorado on December 5th. But now we know the pairings for every weekend from New Year's to early March.
One of the things that's really interesting about these extra games is that it's not an extra traditional pairing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're playing, obviously they play the, 18 game, regular schedule, right? 9, whatever. But these extra 2 games, they are, we're allowed to give the Pac-12 credit, right? That's something we can do if we feel like it, right? We don't.
Do we have to?
I know it's hard. I'm looking at this and I'm going actually this is super cool. So they have taken these games and they've spread them out from the beginning of December basically until Christmas.
And plus, December 5th, you have that national championship rematch.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. People are going to be tuning in all over the country to find out what happens.
WSU at Colorado.
Yeah. But it's like, so you got Colorado, Arizona, and OSU, WSU on Wednesday, December 2nd. And then, there's a couple games on December 3rd, a game on the 5th, a game on the 6th, a game on the 12th. It's just like one game, right? Game on the 13th, the 19th, the 20th, 22nd, and 23rd. And so they're just like sort of sprinkling these games in.
And I assume
December.
those games are not going to be on Pac-12 Network. They're going to be on...
We would assume.
Maybe the OSU, WSU, I don't know. But it seems like you could get those on ESPN and Fox.
Yeah, these are like FSN, or not FSN, FS1.
FSN
ESPN.
for you old-timers.
Yeah, if you're oldie like us. But, FS1 or ESPN, like those seem like legit there. And that's, and then we get into the regular weekend starting, the regular Pac-12 weekend matchup starting on December 30th. And then it's, the pairings and all the stuff that we're used to, right? Like you make the trip and you play both the schools from the area and whatever. So I actually think this is a pretty brilliant, God, can I say that? Like pretty brilliant piece of scheduling strategy from the Pac-12.
Yeah, and usually I'd be like, why are you starting the Cougs at home over winter break? But it's like, it doesn't matter this year.
Yeah, but and instead, and also it's December 2nd.
Also to no, I'm sorry, I mean in the regular pairings.
Yeah, the regular pairings.
Yeah, but they're got the Arizona schools at home over that
first weekend,
New Year's weekend. But in fairness, it's only one. In the past, sometimes they've started out with like UW and 2 other games, so it's like the first 3 games are when there are no students there. But obviously, there's not going to be any students. We will talk in a little bit about who's going to be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, we got Arizona right off the bat. Either Arizona State. We only know the pairings of the weekends. We don't know if they're going to be on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But yeah, Arizona, then the Bay Area, then UCLA, then UW. First UW game is not till the end of January. That's the home game. But then the final regular season game is UW. So that's when Noah Williams gets to go back and take his city again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's it's fun to just think about basketball happening. It feels so real now. Obviously this all could come crashing down. But it has not stopped any league yet. Like everyone has just powered on through.
Even baseball.
Even
a World Series.
Congrats to Dodgers fans.
Congrats to the Dodgers for being able to overcome their positive COVID test.
Okay. We've talked about COVID enough on this podcast. But anyway, so yeah, no, it's exciting to have this schedule, to think about, WSU, the team, like you said, there's no CJ, and that's a bummer. That kind of takes out your expectation of like, oh, they could be like challenging for the tournament this year. Now it's more of like, let's see what these young guys got. Like, we have some talented young dudes coming in, and let's see what they can do. And they probably are talented enough that they can beat some teams they shouldn't sometimes, and they'll probably be young enough that they will lose to some teams that they shouldn't sometimes. But we also know that we have an exceptional coach, exceptional coaching staff, and it's just, and I'm excited that they, this year they can maybe work on offense a little bit more. They have that senior leadership to help out with defense, or that, the upperclassmen leadership. So I'm hoping, we get to see more of a fuller picture of what Smith can do this year. And I'm just excited. I'm just staring at this graphic right now at the games, and it's making me very happy.
Yeah. The one thing that we're missing is by this point, I'm used to really just sort of staring at and breaking down the Ken Palm predictions, and there aren't any yet.
Yeah, Ken's been waiting.
Killing me.
I think he's been waiting for just. I
assume he's waiting for schedules.
He's waiting for schedules, and then I think he's really just waiting to make sure it actually happens.
Yeah. I'm still
and there's
just
been a
like,
lot of movement. You know, they haven't even had the NBA draft yet and all that stuff. So it's like kind of a weird year. But you know, we got Bart. We know that Bart Torvik, WSU took quite a hit when CJ left on that.
Yeah.
Kind of took us back down to where we were last year. So we don't have that superstar, but this is gonna be a fun team to watch anyway. They might not be better than last year, but there's so much youth and plus, you know, I'm hoping there's enough at guard to where Bonton can play off guard and you know he can really be his best and
I mean, it is super fun to watch a team develop, you know, because it's not like, you know, this isn't a situation like, you know, Washington where, you know, the freshmen they've recruited are so good and they might stick around for like a year, maybe 2 if you're lucky, right? I mean, like, I don't think any of these guys, at least right now, it certainly doesn't seem like any of these guys are, you know, candidates for one or 2 seasons and then they're out. Now maybe they are, right?
I mean, we wouldn't have thought CJ was going to leave after 2, but
no, we would not have thought that.
You know, obviously the sick circumstances of the 2020 probably pushed him along probably faster, but.
I mean, I wish nothing but the best for CJ, but I'm also like, you know, I don't know. Like I don't see him
pop up on a lot of draft boards.
I watched him play a lot, and I'm like, I hope it's great for him. I really do. Like, I wish him nothing but success. But I'm also like, I'm still not sure. I see an NBA player, but I'm also the guy who was like, Klay Thompson is a lottery pick. I don't know about his defense, man. And so I'm obviously an idiot, and it doesn't actually matter what I think. So, you know.
Yep, we're 2 idiots. So you just, although I will say, I remember in the comments when Klay got drafted, I made a comment in I think it was one of our posts, and I think probably Golden State fans found it or something. I said, well, it's pretty cool that Golden State now has 2 of the best shooters on the planet, and this guy comes in and says you don't know how good Klay Thompson can shoot in the NBA. You don't he's only shot in college. You don't know if he's a good shooter. I'm like, nah, dude, that stroke travels, man.
That's gonna play anywhere. That is gonna play anywhere. That's not a. Of all the things we were concerned about, that was not one of them.
Yeah, we thought, you know, at the very least, Klay Thompson was gonna be like a Kyle Korver type. You know, like a dude that just drains threes.
At the very least, right?
Right, yeah.
And so, I was like, I don't know, man, are his feet quick enough to play defense in the NBA? I'm an idiot. They're obviously quick enough. He's one of the best 2-way players in the NBA, and he's got multiple rings to show for it. So, don't listen to me. I don't know.
And we retired his jersey.
As we should have.
That was fun.
I wore my Clay Day shirt the other day.
Yeah, because I finally delivered it to you, or you came and got it.
Yeah, that was nice. I like that. I'm glad you thought of me. You're such a good friend.
I had these I had 2 of them just sitting on my dresser forever, and I was like, who was I saving these for? I don't even remember. And then you were coming over to record the podcast. I was like, I bet I was saving one for Jeff. I bet I was doing that, and so yeah.
And then I forgot to take it with me because I'm that kind of guy.
Yeah, then you got it the next time.
You gave it to me, and I'm like, oh, sweet. And then I put it down.
You set it down on my table, and it was there on my table after you left.
I forgot it. Yeah. But you also couldn't find my other shirt, and then you found my other shirt.
And so you got 2 shirts.
Then I got 2 shirts. And then I got you your shirt.
Was that the Don't Drink Beer with Racists one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I got you your not national champions, but not national champions shirt.
Yeah, sorry everyone that I posted that on Twitter and you were like, where can I get that?
So many people are like, I want one. And I'm like, the guy who made them, small batch. WSU probably not super happy that they were made. So
it's like many of the beers that I drink on here.
Anymore.
Many of the beers I drink on here, no, you can't get it. And sorry, it's not going to happen.
It will never be made again. So sorry. And yeah, I think everybody got theirs. I finally mailed them out months after I got them. I think the only person who didn't get theirs was Emma. Hers got returned, so now I gotta figure out what happened there and send it back out again. So sorry, Emma, that you didn't get your shirt. Everybody else got their shirt. It was great. I kept getting texts from people like, "I got my shirt. This is so cool," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." So sorry, Emma, I've got yours.
Yeah,
you probably don't listen to the podcast though. You're young. You've got better things.
She's got things to do.
Yeah, she got better things to do than listen to.
She lives in Chicago.
I know, like a couple of guys almost as old as her dad, or at least I am. I don't know if you are. You're not.
No, that would be.
But I am.
I can't
be too far away from Casey.
That'd be a youthful pregnancy.
You know what though? Like I mean, you grew up in Yakima. Like I can imagine that's probably not.
We did have one of the higher, teen pregnancy rates in the state, possibly the highest, I think.
Man, we had a lot of those when I taught in Wenatchee. Oh my goodness, whew. That was hard, man. Watching that, goodness.
I'm going to say vote yes on or maintain whatever it was on the sex education one. I'm sorry, I'm endorsing that one right here.
Politics alert.
Politics alert.
Please.
I can't remember if it was maintain or whatever the vote was, but
it's maintain.
Yeah, it's maintain. Yeah.
The state legislature already passed it. It's already.
Oh, thanks for making us do that, motherfucker.
Yeah, and then like a whole bunch of people with their panties in a bunch, like got a petition, got signatures to get it on the ballot, and so to have it in their minds hopefully rejected. And oh, by the way, in the places where we don't teach sex ed, that's where we get the pregnancies and the diseases. So like it's a pretty damn simple equation here. A little bit of calculus, like good sex ed keeps people from getting pregnant. So how about we do that? That'd be great. For heaven's sake.
Yeah. Vote maintain.
Yeah.
Go Kicks. But I will have to say, we were talking about Clay. So Clay today became, or maybe not today, but as ESPN noted, Clay is the first active NBA player to partner with and launch a CBD brand.
It's so Clay. That is like so very Clay. For many reasons.
Yeah.
Like, if we just go, okay, Clay just seems like a swell dude who's just kind of chill and laid back. Partnering CBD, like, makes a lot of sense. But then, like, for those of us with the context.
Yeah, we got that
right?
context.
Like, I mean, how many Golden State fans, like, have no idea of, like, the larger context going on here?
Yeah.
So, hopefully, I hope he becomes even more, wildly rich than he is.
I do like to think like what happened that night has driven him quite a bit as a professional. He mentioned it when he came back. It's like he has thought about the fact that he missed his last game.
Yeah,
in Pullman. Well, it wasn't his last game in Pullman because they played in the NIT.
Yeah, they played NIT.
But it's his, it
should have been
his like send off game, right?
Yeah.
And so, obviously they missed the tournament in large part because they lost that game. And so yeah, he obviously he was pretty. I think that maybe has been driven him a little bit to succeed, and obviously he was in a good situation for that. And so he's got some rings. Oh, speaking of rings, did you see WSU tweeted out the we're just random now, the College Cup ring?
Yes. Oh, gorgeous. Love that.
Oh, by the way, I just saw that your response. Pretty sure I'm gonna have to make a trip to Pullman. Dude, you can order like up to like 10 or something cans of Cougar Gold online, and it's $8 shipping.
For at like the same price?
Yeah, it's always $8
at like
shipping.
The same but no. The price for the cheese?
It's $22, yeah.
It's still the $22.
Yeah.
And then just flat
or maybe it's
shipping.
$24. It's like it's only
whatever,
like a couple
it's 24,
dollars
26,
more. It's definitely way cheaper than you can get from like from like Tacoma Boys or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. No, like Tacoma Boys charges you like $50 a can.
Yeah.
For that, which
even in Pullman, like Safeway is like $40 a can.
Well, like why would you go to buy it at Pullman and Safeway?
Yeah, that's just, I mean, well, sometimes WSU is out of Cougar Gold.
Ugh. No, yeah, I just need a reason to go to Pullman, man. Like
I know, yeah, I know.
Like I'm like totally down with that idea on a not football weekend, so that I'm not being being part of the problem.
You can't go to Ferdinand's on a not football weekend. They're only open Monday through Friday.
That's true.
They only open on Saturday for football games. They do not open. I can
still take a personal day and drive over on a Friday.
Yeah. Well, I just want to warn you. I don't want you to be like driving over there and Saturday you're like, no. Let's go to Ferdinand's, and they're not open.
Ferdinand's isn't going to be open on a football Saturday this year either.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're never going to be open if you drive over on a Saturday.
So I'll have to like drive over, like take a personal day and drive over on a Friday or a Monday or something.
Or you can just order from $8 shipping.
Or I could just order them and pay for the shipping, but.
Yeah, I was talking. I think he replied, "I gotta buy like a new fridge just so I can buy some more Cougar because I got too much beer in our regular fridge."
You don't have a second fridge?
I don't.
Oh, you're missing out.
I spend all my money on the beer.
I don't know how we'd survive without a second fridge.
I spend all my money on the beer. I can't buy another fridge.
Yeah.
I can afford another fridge.
That's what the second fridge is for, Craig. Like, my second fridge is full of beer.
Yeah, well, I can't afford the second fridge because I buy too much beer. So it's like a monkey paw situation here.
We got our second fridge for free.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for. Like one just arrives at my doorstep because someone is desperate to get rid of it.
I will say though, I'm not sure. Like you would probably have to put it downstairs, and that would be a huge pain in the ass. So
it'd be a huge pain in the ass to put it down there, but it would be once it is down there.
Yeah, but
you got to come over.
Getting it down those stairs would be
I cleaned it up down there. It looks good. You got to come over. It looks nice. Like I cleaned up all the cat piss and shit and vomit.
Yeah.
You know, like it's looking good. I just have to keep monitoring it. Like I went down there, litter box totally clean. Took a dump like right somewhere. In what the hell? A cat's like covering it up. He just leaves it there. It's like a power move. Oh, you cleaned up my pee. I'm just gonna take a shit right on your floor.
Well, listen, I'm dealing with the same thing right now because we got a barn cat from the Humane Society, and so we live on property out here in rural South Pierce County, right? And so we got this barn cat because we want the cat to hunt our rodents and stuff, but to start with, we're like, okay, we're just going to put him in the garage and we'll just kind of let him hang out in the garage for a while, feed him in there, basically make him understand this is home, right? And then eventually we'll, keep the garage door cracked or whatever, and he can slide in and slide out and, have a ball and whatever. But in the meantime, he's not using the litter box, and now my garage that I spent all summer cleaning and organizing and everything else now smells like a fucking animal bathroom, and I'm like, God damn it.
Oh, and cat stuff is very smelly. Very smelly.
I'm so irritated.
Dude, you got to get they have this like it's called like Miracle something. It's like a urine remover.
Yeah.
It works magic. It's magic.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that works too. If you just
when am I going to find it? Like where am I going to find that he's been going to the bathroom? I don't know, but
well, yeah, that's the truth. Well, like that's what I just cleaned my entire basement floor. Like I just put that shit all over it. So it smells like that now, which has a smell, which is fine. It's like, it's like
better than cat piss.
It's like a citrusy smell. It definitely smells better than cat piss, which on the topic of beer, also a bit smells like Mosaic hops. So, if you put too much Mosaic in your beer, it's going to smell like cat piss. Yeah. But anyways, the rings, that's what we're
the rings.
Yeah, they look
that's
badass.
What we're talking about.
Badass. College Cup
badass.
Rings.
Yeah. I don't know what, I mean, it's like, this is a podcast, so it's hard to.
Yeah. I don't know. They've got
a Cougar logo on them.
Go to the Washington State Soccer at WSU Cougar Soccer Twitter account. Yeah. They got the Cougar head right at the top, as should be. They got, College Cup on there, you know.
Soccer. They got a soccer ball on the side.
Yeah, Soccer Buck says "Go Cougs" on the side. They got the College Cup logo on the side. Like it's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I'm looking at them right now. Like they got a cool little video where it like.
I'd definitely take a replica of one of those, Jeff.
Yeah, you would. Instead, we're just gonna have to settle for a replica of the Sounders.
Yeah.
MLS Cup ring.
Made our 2020 season tickets worth it to me.
Yeah. I know.
You know, the three games I went to.
We got to go to 3 games and got a ring out of the deal, so I guess that's good, right?
Yeah, and paid for some of our next year tickets if we can actually go to those. But
yeah, I mean, okay, so for people who don't know what we're talking about, the Sounders said if you'll roll your money into the next season, they'll send you a replica of the 2019 MLS Cup championship ring. So that's what Craig and I are getting. We're getting those. You know what we haven't talked about yet? We have not talked about
how we are going to attend every football and basketball game this season.
Yeah, cutouts. Hell yeah,
dude. Okay, I gotta say, like,
I am all over this.
I wanted to get a Mariners cutout, but I didn't know if they would. They didn't say that you would get it after the year.
Yeah,
and so I didn't do it. But it turned out they did. Like, they just had them at the team stores. You can get them. So I was, like, bummed out about that. But
yeah.
WSU is doing the cutouts with many restrictions.
No, wait. Many undersells how many restrictions there are on what you can do.
Many of them are understandable. Like, totally understandable.
Yeah, some of them.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. Like, the baseball, they would hit foul balls in the crowd. You'd see them constantly. I honestly don't know when anyone's going to look at your cardboard football cutout on TV. Like, it's barely going to be on TV. So I'm not sure why they care so much what they look like. Like, that's the part. Like, I understand, like, if there's going to be some close-ups of them, you don't want people, like, chugging Fireball, although maybe you do.
Some of us do.
You don't want people like with a shirt that says like "Bone the Dogs," which many frats have with
FUCLA,
with
all that good stuff.
Yeah,
right?
like and stuff like that. I guess you don't want that, but you know what? When they pan the crowd in real games, that shit's there too. But I guess WSU has control over this, so yeah, you can pay $35 and they will make 2 cardboard cutouts of you. You submit a picture. You get to align it, which is you go on the site and you align your picture. Very good one, Jeff, that you submitted to the Slack. Very terrifying.
Car selfie.
Yeah. Yeah, the car. Well, you didn't have sunglasses on.
That is not the picture I'm going to use.
You need your sunglasses on for a true car selfie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, you can submit your picture. You align it yourself. They warn you quite a bit on the page. Like it better like be mostly you inside the thing, or otherwise we're going to reject it. No branding other than WSU branding. I'm sure Nike is fine and stuff like that.
I'm sure Nike's okay.
Most of my WSU shit has a logo on it, another logo on it of some sort. Like, am I not allowed to wear my Nike hoodie? And I don't know. But yeah, I'm pretty sure just as long as it's WSU, even if it has like Russell Athletic on the side, it's fine. But yeah, just WSU. That's the only branding. I guess. If you're like a weird Coug fan, you're like, no, mine's just going to be me in a black shirt and no branding. I'm just going to wear that. You know, I don't want to be branded. That's what I wear to my normal WSU games. Or you could go like full on like late November WSU game and just like wear your rain gear in the picture. That could be fun, you know, to make it realistic.
Yep. I don't know, man. Like I think this is. I mean, it's a no-brainer, but it's also cool. Like, you know, it's
also those things are going to get destroyed. Although I assume they'll put as many as they can underneath the overhang, but those things are going to get destroyed in Pullman.
Fine, like whatever.
But that's the one there. So they said the
I
one
want
there,
to mail that shit back to me. Like,
yeah, you can. So you can pay $25, which I will do, to have them mail it back to you.
I will absolutely do that.
But it's the football one they're going to mail back to you.
And it's just going to be like in tatters, you know. Yeah.
I wonder if you ask like if I'm like, hey, will you put it in my season ticket spot? But probably not.
Yeah, probably not. I mean,
that'd be a pain in the ass for them.
Together. But it's like, I mean, for real, this is honestly, I think that they're undercharging for it.
Yeah, $35, not that bad.
Like $35
for both. $35 gets you
each.
Football and basketball, isn't it?
No. You got to pay for both.
Oh,
you do have to pay for both.
Oh,
so it's $35 for football plus another
still
$35 for basketball if you want both, which is still a good deal. And then, but
damn it,
look,
for me and
all you're really doing is donating to the athletic department.
Yeah,
right?
that's what you're doing.
I mean, that's all you're really doing. Okay, fine. So like we know that people will donate for quirky, funny, interesting things, right? Like listen, we just did our United campaign, right? And we raised, I haven't written the story yet, but we raised like $3,600 for or it might have even been like $4,000 or something, but it's something like that, right? Now, which is great and awesome and so excited, and I'm very happy we're going to be able to give that money to Helinski's Hope. Also is quite a bit less than what we've done the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that said, some of that is, I think, just look, we're doing T-shirts and sweatshirts again, right? For the third year. Like, there's a novelty aspect to a lot of this stuff. And so, like, being able to purchase your cutout and have it put in a seat, there's a novelty aspect to it. It's like, oh, yeah, this is cool and totally different. Now, if it's next year, probably not that interested, right? But this year, why not, right? Like, it's super exciting. I'll do it. Sure. I'll pay $90 to have my cutout put in Martin Stadium, in Beasley Coliseum, and also to have one of them mailed back to me.
Yeah.
Great. That's wonderful. I will totally do it. So I like I said, I think they're undercharging a bit. I think that they could charge more, but whatever. I'm a little surprised at how late it is.
Yes.
They're telling you
very
that you
late.
can, they're telling you that you can submit
up until November 9th, I think.
Yeah, up until November 9th, you can order it, and then and they'll get you in there for the Oregon game. Like, I'm like, wait a minute, you're going to do that in like 3 days? Like that's, or 4 days, 5 days, whatever it is, 5 days. Like, I'm like, you're going to do it in 5 days? Like, that seems like a pretty short turnaround, but I don't know. Anyway, I'm totally doing it. You're totally doing it. The only thing that's missing that I'm sort of like a little not upset about, like, it's not a deal breaker, but like, come on, we need to get ourselves in a group, and they're not offering a way to like order yourself as a group so that we can like be together, like all the Coug Center, like me and you and BA and PJ and anybody else who's buying this thing. Like, we need to be in the same row. Yes. And they don't give you the option for that. So, and
we're all gonna, like, I'm gonna be wearing F, you're wearing U, PJ's gonna be wearing C, BAK. Yeah. Emma's gonna be wearing U. Preston's gonna be wearing W. It's gonna be fuck you, Dub. Right. Just right in a row, and they won't figure it out. Right in a row,
and they're gonna be like, "Why?" We'll be like, "We just do, okay."
All right, this is the order we want them in.
This is it. This is what we're paying for, okay?
It's F with a Cougar logo. Don't worry about it. It fits your guidelines.
It's totally okay. It's just the letter F. It's not a big deal. Followed by,
or we can go like
letters.
Super subtle, like all like in really small in the corner, so we know it says "fuck you, Dub." Like, it's really, by the way, small in the corner.
Here's what I know. Okay, so I'm a high school teacher, and yearbooks are annually like a what can I get into the yearbook that nobody's gonna catch, right? Kind of deal. Like, I'm looking at that list of restrictions, and if, by the way, listeners, if you have not seen it, I'm telling you, it is extensive. It's like 9. There's like 9 things you cannot do.
And then if your picture isn't framed enough in it, like, they'll reject it. So like, that's like, if you do all the things, you do all the steps, and then you didn't frame your picture right, they'll reject that too. So basically, be careful, read the rules. Yeah, is what I'm saying.
Basically, the idea is you can either wear a plain shirt or you can wear Coug gear, and pretty much anything else is going to get rejected. Okay, so all right. So they've got this,
but like, not Coug gear that mentions any other team. You cannot mention any other team.
So I'm like, how many people? Like, okay, so how many people look at that list? Like I said, I've worked with yearbooks before, and part of the job of a yearbook advisor is to look at every page and think, where is a kid trying to do something they're not supposed to do?
Yeah,
like literally everything that goes into the yearbook is what is a kid doing they're not supposed to do? Is it in a picture? Is it in something they wrote? What is it? Where is it? You're trying to find. It's like a hunt. You're trying to find it. So I'm like curious, like how many people are going to try to maybe get away with something here and see if they can hide something in their picture to in their cutout and see if they can get away with something.
You probably can be subtle enough.
I would think so.
I don't think they're gonna take. I don't think they're gonna take a microscope to those things. Like, if it's just for you and it's there, and then it's gonna be there when they send it back to you, and you put it up in your she shed or your man cave or whatever. That's I'll probably put it up in my basement. I tweeted earlier that I'm very like apathetic about decoration in any way, and Amanda basically forced me to decorate by putting this like thing up on my office wall with like just like shit that I had like laying around in boxes, and she hung it up, and like it's like. But yeah, that'll probably be what I'll have to do with my cutout. Like she'll have to force me to hang it up. But yeah, if you put something little on there and it's there, that's all that matters, right?
I think so. I think that's all that matters.
Because really, you're not going to get much FaceTime on TV.
I wouldn't think so, but I don't know. I mean, they might do like hey, check out the cardboard cutouts. Like, I don't know. So maybe you get a little bit of time.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I don't know.
Definitely not if we sit in your seats, though. Definitely not getting any TV time up there.
Yeah, I'm wondering what, like, I'm wondering just how they're going to arrange them. And I'm wondering, I think that a lot of Cougs will do this. I think this will be very popular on Die Hard Cougs.
I think so. I mean, I think, like who wouldn't it be popular with? Cheapskates, I guess. People are like, I'm not paying $35 to have my picture.
I mean, like the actual students are like, whoa, $35. Like,
yeah, they would be for sure.
Yeah.
They should do it for free for students.
That would be cool.
They should just do that for free. Yeah. They should be like, hey, students, upload a picture. We'll put a cutout there, like something.
Although that's where you're really gonna get into like the creatively deceptive. Like it's
challenge accepted.
Yep.
Yeah. But they should do it for free for them, and then make all of us who have jobs pay for it, and that should be fine. They really should. I think that'd be great.
So
I don't know. It's only 30-some thousand pick cutouts. Like, they can handle that, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, yeah, 30,000. Like, I don't know if they'll put them. It'll be interesting. Like, the Mariners sold a heck of a lot of them. Like, they filled out like the whole lower bowl.
Yeah.
So I think there's obviously a smaller fan base for WSU, but I think there's a lot of Coug fans that'll jump at the bit. So maybe get your shit in early, just in case it fills up. I don't know. Maybe, and hopefully you get one of those primo spots under the overhang. Like, I purposely select my season tickets under the overhang, because I ain't bougie enough to do the club seats or anything else. But I do make sure I get the spots under the overhang for those rain games and snow games. So yeah, maybe you got to get in early.
The bright side is that your cutout will be in good shape.
That's what I'm saying. You got to get early and get the good shape cutout. Not you're like mangled, like like been like all the snow games that we're gonna have in Pullman this season. It's gonna be great.
They've got to. They have to like laminate them or something, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Like, so that at least they're, they're not just completely disintegrating or something. But on the other hand, like I said, I kind of want to like have it mailed back to me and be like, oh, good, it's here, and then open it up and it's just like in tatters. I'm kind of down with that idea.
You're like,
I think it'd be cool. I could put
mine?
it up in my my TV room and And just people be like, what is that? And I'm like, that's my cutout that was in Martin Stadium for 6 games in 2020.
Well, like I imagine they're gonna like
3 games. I guess only 3 games, but
like,
you know what I mean.
On the back of the cutout or something, they're gonna put like our contact information or some information that will identify, and then for us so they can send it back to us. But it's really funny if like it just like through snow and wind and rain and whatever, like that information is no longer identifiable, and they're just like, we have a pile of them here in Pullman. If you want to come try to figure out which one is yours, go ahead.
That would be awesome too. That would be hilarious. Like, come to Pullman, pick up your cutout.
Like yours, it's like you have to hold it up to the guy. Like, I swear it's mine. They're like, okay, sure, take it away. Oh man, yeah, cutouts in Pullman. I'm excited. I'm excited to get my cutout. I'll probably get one for B too, because that'll be cute to hang on the wall. Are they going to send the basketball one to us too, or just the football one?
Yeah, so they said that if you bought both, they would just send you one.
That's right.
And then, but if basketball was the only one you bought, they would send you that one. If football is the only one you bought, they send you that one. And if you bought both, they just said they would send you one.
It doesn't
say which one.
I do want to meet the person that only buys the basketball one.
Yeah.
I'm curious to meet this person who's like, nah, fuck WSU football. I only support WSU basketball. Is that person exists? I don't know. Like,
I would love to
I
hear...
probably would. I mean, I probably would like them.
Yeah, I think so.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like really into Central's football team, and they're like,
I really only.
Or they're like,
WSU basketball.
Look, I root for Eastern's football team and WSU's basketball team.
Yeah, I want to know from players if they think it's cool or not. Like,
they probably.
I mean,
think
I don't
it's
think
weird.
it's fooling anybody, but it's also like, I don't know, like it's got to look better than empty seats, right?
I don't know. It might be kind of creepy. Like,
maybe.
Like, pictures staring at you is creepy. It always is. Because, like, the eyes, they follow you. They always follow you.
Yeah.
But instead of having real people eyes following you, it's going to be like this weird... Like, it's going to be a lot of people in screaming faces, but just frozen. I don't know.
I would think it'd be better than empty seats.
It'd be funny to do yours in like a... Just like... You're like throwing your hands up like you're pissed off. Like, God damn it!
God damn it! Like that's like, oh, there we go.
Or you're like screaming at a rap. You're like, you can very clearly you're starting to fuck you. Like, that would probably be more appropriate for me, actually. Like my guy needs to be screaming in some way.
I don't know. Like, are we going to take pictures of ourselves yelling? Like, I'm not sure about this. I don't know how to, like, I don't know if I can talk myself into doing that. But, or maybe we should, here's maybe what we should do. Like, maybe you and I should get together and then we take pictures of each other yelling, because like if you take like a selfie yelling.
No, you definitely have to have someone else take, like, you're going to have to like have Josh or something take it, or your son or something take the picture.
So like, we take a picture of each other yelling and upload that, and yeah, that might work.
Might work.
I don't know. Otherwise I don't know what kind of face. I mean, you can't just like smile and just be like, "Hi," like I can't.
This is what I do at a football game.
I'm at a football game. Hey, I'm smiling at a football game. Like,
I think you definitely have to have some sort of emotion in it.
Yeah. So I don't know.
No, we're just workshopping here.
Yeah, we're thinking this through.
Email us, podcastvseveryone@gmail.com. Let us know what you're going to do. Or tweet at Jeff at @podversuseveryone, or at me at Craig. What is my thing? At the Craig Powers.
Yes, I believe that is your Twitter handle.
Yes. Yeah, just if you got ideas, send them our way. I don't know, man. Pretty good place to stop the show.
Seems like it.
And once again, I thought this was going to be an hour. It's an hour 40.
Just a couple of dudes talking.
Couple of dudes being bros having
That's
a dude's time.
Yes, all of that. Bros having a dude's time.
Go Cougs, Jeff! What did I call it? Jeff Boo Scare?
Boo Scare? All right, go Cougs, Craig.
Black Lives Matter!
Black Lives Matter.